Hello, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your schlubby hosts each week are Bryce Hanson, the cool collected nihilist, and David Day, a cool guy who is always cool. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm David Day.
I'm Bryce Hanson.
And we're going to plug our website, horrormovietalk.com. Go check it out. Read the stuff, interact with us, comment, subscribe. Check us out on social media. We're on the Twitter and Facebook mostly. We also have a subreddit that you can check out and upvote our posts on. That's just mostly a something we hope grows into something.
Yeah, I almost wonder if we should just remove comments on posts and just put a link to the subreddit as the forum.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe that'd work out better.
We certainly
get less spam.
Yeah.
Get spam all the time.
We post new episodes every Wednesday, so listen to us every Wednesday and subscribe and leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice, iTunes, Stitcher, any of the ones that, you want to give us a shout out on. Today, we will be talking about Mandy, which is, as we're recording, and by the way, this is a pre-recorded episode, as we're recording, it's a pretty darn new horror movie that just kind of came out of nowhere and landed in a straight-to-streaming format as well as in theaters simultaneously. We'll start by giving a brief review of our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being the best, and a 5 being just totally average, nothing terrible or great about it. And after we give our score, we'll get into kind of a rundown of the movie and take a deeper dive into spoilers and what we liked and hated about the film. Later in the show, we will be doing Guess That Clip, which is has a bunch of clips from horror movies, and Bryce will have to guess what movie they're from and the scenario that the clip is taken from in the movie, and you guys can play along. And so, that's our intro. Thanks again for listening, and let's get into the show. So, as I said before, we streamed Mandy on Amazon, and Jesus Christ, what the fuck was that movie, Bryce?
It was a trip.
That was the trippiest movie I've seen in a long, long time.
Well, since Spiral.
This was much trippier than Spiral. This movie was awesome. Here is the trailer.
Under the crimson, primordial sky, the wretched warlock reached into the dark embrace. His fist closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do. You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that thing?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil. You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
Oh man, what's wrong with you? You see the cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
Mandy was awesome, and actually that trailer did a pretty good job of summing up the bones of the movie. Hey guys, this is an emergency dub over. We pre-recorded this episode, and at the time, Mandy was available on a number of different streaming platforms. Right now, I think there's two ways you can actually watch Mandy. One of them is through Shudder, where if you go to shudder.com and enter HMT at checkout, you get a free 30-day subscription, and you can watch it there for essentially for free. The other is you can rent it off of Amazon, which if you're going to rent it off of Amazon, I think it's $5. And if you could do us a favor and click the link on our site, that would help us out. But currently, it's not available. I don't believe it's available on Google Play or iTunes or anything like that. Anyway, back to the show. Mandy is an homage to the 70s and 80s in a lot of ways, like the music, the like fantasy novels, horror movies. It's as well as like acid trips gone wrong. And also brutal cults that fuel biker gangs from hell with like ultra meth. If it sounds like fun, I didn't mention that it also stars Nicolas Cage, which it does, and he's fucking badass in it. And so the story of Mandy starts with Nick Cage and Andrea Riseborough, who is Mandy, kind of living their best life in a little cabin in the forest. It feels like Oregon to me.
Yeah, I think in the summary on IMDb, it says it's in the Pacific Northwest in the early 80s.
Yeah, it feels like old country Oregon or Washington, something like that. I would know because I live in those. And there's like something weirdly like slightly supernatural about Mandy. Not slightly, very. Like this girl is like if she's not a witch, she's at least bewitching. Like she's got an eye that's just fucking trippy. Like it's clearly CGI'd a little bit.
Yeah, the thing about this movie is the plot is not super important, and the plot is, when you look back at it, is very simple. It's just a revenge movie.
Yeah.
But it's really about mood.
Yeah, this
just
movie
setting a mood and using the visuals and the sound to establish that. And I think
is good at it.
Yeah, and this director, his previous movie, from what I hear, is basically that, and has not really much of a plot to follow, but is very much like setting the mood and just establishing like a feeling through the visuals and the sound.
Yeah, that's accurate. And this movie is a mood. Like this movie starts off with like an extremely unsettling mood, and then it kind of like when the movie gets comfortable with itself, it like settles into like this ultra revenge mood.
Right.
Of like it's just total badassery. So as I said, there's something kind of like slightly supernatural about Mandy, and she kind of infatuates Cage, and I can't tell if they're married. I can't recall. They're definitely very in love, and they live in a house together out in the woods.
Right. And Mandy was an artist, right?
She worked at a gas station. She it wasn't super clear to me. Yeah, she did art, so I guess that makes her an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, we review movies. Does that make us journalists?
Right.
So yeah, yes, she was
Answer's
an artist.
no.
Yes, she's an artist. So there's just a lot of like, this movie is a lot of like long shots, mood pieces, droning, like badass music. And so as they're kind of like living their life, Nick Cage is like he's a lumberjack, and he comes home every night, and they kiss, and they watch a nice movie or something like that, and then they go to bed in the scariest room I can imagine. They have a room that's made out of windows, and that's their master bedroom. It just contains a bed. It's a sunroom that with like huge panes of glass. Like all the walls are just windows. Then they face the deep woods. And like I like camping and stuff. I don't like that room at all. So at one point, I'm sorry, go ahead. You had something. No. At one point, like Mandy's walking down the road. And in the trailer, she kind of says she's reading from her fantasy novel, and she says, "Under the crimson primordial sky." Dude, this whole movie is under a crimson primordial sky. Like everything is tinted in off color you're going into the beat section before we're given the score. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, I loved this movie, and I'd say it gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Mandy is going to be a cult classic. And I want to get on the bottom floor of that. and this is Cage's swan song.
Yeah, I mean, the Mandy has been touted in all the horror like subreddits and stuff as something definitely that you need to see, and I would agree. I don't think I'd go as high as an 8. I think I would give it like a 7. For me, it's just not my type of movie. It's one of those movies that I can watch once, but I definitely probably won't watch again, just because it looks great. I get the mood is unique to it, and the tone that it sets is unique. But as far as the pacing, and this might be that I was just really tired when we watched it, it was just too slow for me. I just, and it's one of those movies that even if you like it, you have to be in a very, very particular mood to go back to it. Yeah, that's a fair criticism. Now, I find myself in that mood quite a bit. Like this movie is the metal music of horror movies. Uh-huh. Like this is just all about like getting you amped up and attitude. Like, and like giving you a feeling. Right. And this movie does that well. So like for me that works a lot better, and it is a slower burn, especially at the start. Once it kicks into gear, it gets moving. It gets a little bit ahead of steam on it. But yeah, it is a slower paced movie. So for me, 8 out of 10. Okay. So let's go into spoilers. Spoilers. So as I was saying before, I got excited and kept going with this. But so one day, this is a pretty easy movie to break down. This isn't going to be a long episode because Mandy is simple. It is simultaneously simple and very, very trippy and complex. It's trippy and complex in its presentation, but the story of it, very bare bones, very simple. Nick Cage loves Mandy. Mandy is infatuating and very strange and interesting. And one day she's walking down the road, smoking her cigarette, and this van full of Jesus freaks, this cult, this very small cult, drives by her, and she makes eye contact with the leader of the cult, played by Linus Roach. I guess it's as good as mine.
And he sees her, and he's like, I must have her. And then so he tells his cult, okay, go and summon the 4 quadmen of the apocalypse. And so they do. They go out at night. They have a whistle, this like artifact that's also a whistle. They blow on it, and then the 4 these 4 dudes show up riding motorcycles and quads, and they're like
full gimp makeup.
Yeah,
or full
full-
gimp costumes.
Yeah.
Just like leathered out and
they're a cross
masks
between
and-
a gimp and the biker from Raising Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Like just all supernaturally.
Yeah, have like spikes coming out of their head and shit.
Yeah. One of them has a gigantic knife for a phallus.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oof. Anyway, so they show up and they're like, hey, we need this girl. And then they trade the payment for getting Mandy is this jar full of drugs, I think, as far as I can tell. Some like amazing mind-altering drug that fuels these bikers. And then like at that point, then that's a good half hour into the movie, maybe 20 minutes into the movie. And then it really turns around when the bikers show up at their house, at Mandy's house. They break into the house. They bound and gag Nick Cage, and they take Mandy away. Right? And then, I mean, they get her, they drug her with a gigantic wasp.
Was that? I thought they dropped the drugs into her eyes.
They
Wasn't that
did do
what-
something to her eyes.
Yeah, I think they did the wasp and something with the drug in her eyes.
They took out this wasp that's like the size of the palm of your hand, and then they stung her with it in the neck. She's all drugged out, tripping, and the cult leader exposes himself to her. He's like, hey, full frontal nudity on the dude. He's like, hey, Mandy, you're great, and I'm great too, and we could be great together. There's a part in the trailer where and what does she do?
And she just laughs at him.
She just laughs and laughs and laughs. Like it's like she turns kind of evil.
Yeah, I mean I think one of my favorite characters in the movie is that cult leader.
Why is that?
I love his introduction when he's, they get back from driving after he had seen Mandy, and he's just laying down on his bed in his cot, and he's, this woman comes up to him that is just obviously just worships everything about him, and he's like, "Get out of here, bitch!" It's like, what do you do? Like
She's like, did I do something to displease you? And he's like, everything you do displeases me.
right.
How could you not be displeasing me?
So he's just laying there, the laziest person in the world, and everyone's waiting on him hand and foot, and he's like, I want that woman, and I can't stop thinking about her. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it, just someone that's so lazy and entitled and drunk off of power.
A cult of personality kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just everyone worshiping him for, even though he's just this giant piece of shit.
He is a huge piece of shit.
Yeah. And so,
yeah, and everyone in that cult is too.
yeah. And so, I mean, they're all drugged out of their gourd, and that's his technique, is I think he just puts them on this super drug and supposedly gets them in this altered state where they are so amazed and able to, bring in the love of God or whatever. And that scene where he exposes himself to her, just really trippy visuals. Like everything has kind of like a trailing aura to it when they move.
Yeah.
And there's a close up on his face, and it very, very subtly and slowly morphs into Mandy's face.
Yeah.
Looking back at her, and it's just like, whoa, this is, I mean, it's trippy just watching it.
Yeah, if you get high, like this movie will mess with you. Like it's a I personally not a fan of getting high so much, but holy moly, if I was, this would alarm me
Right.
very, very much, because it's constantly messing with you visually.
Yeah, and there's just very, very subtle changes that happen on the screen, like just a long held close up on Mandy, and then about halfway through you're like, wait a minute, one eye is bigger than the other.
And we backed it up, and it didn't start that way. It just so subtly and slowly started changing.
Yeah.
That at the end of, and it stayed on that shot for like 30, 40 seconds maybe. And it was so uncomfortable. Like it is truly a mood piece, and it proves it by just messing with your head all the time.
Yeah. So Mandy did not buy into cult leaders bullshit.
Yeah.
And just laughs at him.
And then, what is a cult leader who gets laughed? So he exposes himself to her. She starts laughing at him. That's the worst thing you can do to a cult leader amongst, in front of his followers. Can you think of something worse that you could do to a cult leader? Than laugh at his junk in front of all of his beloved followers?
I don't know. Threaten to turn him into the authorities, probably.
Maybe, but yeah, it's pretty bad what she did, and she was just totally like, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
And so immediately he's like, all right, we're killing you. He takes her out into the yard where Nick Cage is like bound and gagged with wires, and then proceeds to hang her upside down in a sleeping bag and light it on fire, and makes Nicolas Cage watch them burn his wife.
Yeah, after they stab him with like a sacrificial knife.
Yeah. There's a lot of like artifacts in this movie, like artifact feeling props, like big stone knives or spears. Mm-hmm. That big badass axe that Nick Cage makes to get revenge. Right. So as Mandy burns alive, Cage has to watch, and he just goes insane. Mm-hmm. And then the Jesus freaks peel out and take off, leaving him for what they think is leaving him for dead.
Yeah.
But he's not.
And in the real world, he would definitely be dead.
Oh, yeah, because he took a big old spear to the side.
Yeah, it was like a wide knife, too. It's like the width of your hand with a point on it that would cut you, and they stabbed him right in the gut, which is usually just not a very survivable thing.
You wouldn't think.
But this is a movie.
Yeah, and not the most believable
No.
movie. There's two moons at one point. It's like watching this movie is like watching every cover from the 70s and 80s of fantasy, every fantasy novel cover from the from the 70s and 80s. Like there's huge like knife edge mountains and like two moons and like crimson sky and like
and everything's just oversaturated and colored, and like the biggest takeaway from this movie is the color red,
right?
Basically,
and a tiger,
and the color red and fog,
fog. Actually, like the biker gang is really memorable.
Yeah,
like they're one of the most memorable bad guys that I can in recent memory for me. Because their story is so cool. So to progress, Nick Cage survives, gets out of the gag, and promptly goes to his revenge mode.
His revenge dealer.
Enter the rage cage. So at that point, Nick Cage decides he's on a quest for revenge, and he goes to his weapons guy. He stored some weapons at this dude house who lives in an RV in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, like a big old sniper rifle.
Yeah, he's like, I need my crossbow and my sniper rifle. The dude's like, oh yeah, and take this gun too. And
then he forges a fucking axe.
He forges the most fantasy novel axe I've ever seen.
Yeah, like if you were a guy that collected fantasy knives and axes, you would look at this and be like, that's a bit much.
It's all chromed out. It's super chromed out. It's like a gigantic axe that's all chrome, and it's got like this pick on the handle, this like long pick that serves as also another knife. So it's like this dual wielded killing machete thing. It's just very impressive. And so the weapons dealer dude, I liked him a lot because he progressed the story very well. Nick's like, I don't know, they showed up with bikers and they're Jesus freaks, and it just didn't make any sense. And that dude, the weapons dealer guy's like, oh, bikers, huh? Were they all crazy and like all gimped out? And Cage is like, yeah. He's like, oh, there's legend around these parts of like this biker gang that they run on this ultra meth or whatever. I can't remember. What do you recall what the drug he said was?
No.
So he basically, tells this story of these essentially like eternal biker gang who just run on hate and who just kill for fun and run trucks off the road and they sustain themselves on this trippy drug that makes them like see the universe a different way, and it's just all...
And they're completely faceless because they got masks on.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how rank that would be if they took off those outfits?
Just in real life.
Yeah.
Like, not given how gritty and dirty these people were portrayed to be in the movie, but just putting on that costume... That must be
why they're pissed off so much.
Right.
Like, I would be too.
That thing that makes us go, ugh, about that costume is probably why it's a fetish. Is the same thing that makes somebody else go, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm into that. So he gives this cool, he kind of recounts how this biker gang came to be. And then this is where, like, the telling of the story just kind of breaks down into Cage kills everyone in the movie, one by one, in a incredibly badass way.
Yeah, full rage Cage, like you said, primal Cage, just blood soaked, and he goes after him with an axe and all of his weapons, and yeah,
it was. Yeah, at that point, there's just really nothing to explain because he goes after each one of the 4 quadmen of the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. He goes after he ends up killing all of the cult pretty much. I think, with maybe the exception of the young girl. And
he kills the old lady.
Yeah, he kills the old lady.
I can't remember a young girl.
The old lady offers to please him.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, like. Yeah, and it's very slow paced of just one after the other. Like, there's not really anything super notable other than he gets caught and kind of chained up in
the biker gang's like
hideout. Office or whatever. And then he breaks out and keeps killing them. I mean, he's basically, Nick Cage in this movie is basically Michael Myers. Like, he's unstoppable. He's not supernatural, but it doesn't matter if you stab him in the gut, he's still going to come after you.
Yeah. Can you think of a better role for Cage or a better role that he's played?
I mean, Face Off. I mean, I can't. It was interesting. I watched an interview of Nick Cage, or he did one of those YouTube videos of just going over all of his roles. And it pleased me so much that when he talked about Face Off, he's like, yeah, that's basically the pinnacle of my career. That basically is everything that I am as an actor. I'm like, you're right.
Wow.
It totally is. That is perfect Nicolas Cage.
Wow, he said that?
Yeah.
With his mouth?
With his mouth.
Wow.
And it's perfect. If you watch it, you're like, yeah, this is exactly what he was born to play, is this character. And then, of course, he hands off the character to John Travolta, which has to play the most insane version of Nicolas Cage.
Go ahead. I dare you.
Which actually I mean...
If you're going to get somebody to play crazy Nick Cage, you better get John Travolta or Tom Cruise.
Yeah, you
better get a Scientologist in there.
I mean, I'm sure if I went back and watched it again right now, I'd be like, wow, this is really dated, but it's still just one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, that's a definitive movie for me, is Face Off.
I think Raising Arizona was another just top tier Nick Cage performance.
Right.
And it's similar to this.
I think pretty much any performance with Nick Cage is a top tier performance of Nick Cage, because he can't not be slightly nuts.
He's balls to the wall.
And I mean, there's definitely bad movies.
What's that vampire one?
Oh, I don't know. Is it just Kiss of the Vampire or something?
Oh, maybe.
Or
Yeah, I think it's Kiss of the Vampire.
or was that Jim Carrey's one?
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, that one of. I mean, just go on YouTube and see the clips of Nicolas Cage going nuts. It's like just hours of entertainment.
Yeah, this was a very cagey movie.
Yeah, very much like insane. The insaner you can let Cage be, the better.
There was even
And drugged out. Like, I think the closest to him being this drugged out would be the what is it called? Bad Cop New Orleans or whatever it's called.
adaptation.
No, it's the one where he
Because
was,
that's where they're getting high on those orchids or whatever.
yeah,
from
but he wasn't,
from the
was he?
bayou. I don't know. I can't recall. It's been a long time. That's actually one of my favorite Nick Cage movies is Adaptation.
Oh yeah.
And that had
Oh, Bad Lieutenant. That's the one that I was thinking of. Did you ever see Bad Lieutenant?
no.
Yeah, that's it's worth seeing for his performance, but it's not a great movie.
Okay.
But he's like, yeah, a bad lieutenant. He's just high on drugs the whole time. And he like has hallucinations about an iguana or something.
That's that's even lazier naming than Mandy. Bad Lieutenant. Ugh. What a bad name for a movie.
Yeah. I think probably his secret, his best role is the role he never got to play, which was Superman.
Oh, that's right. That was like what, 2012 or something like that, where they were talking about.
Yeah, that
Or
was
so.
before. That was before Return of Superman.
Yeah,
Like that was in development for a long time, and it had Tim Burton at the helm.
oh,
It would have been nuts and
worst.
terrible. Like I've seen like the screen tests of Nick Cage as Kal-El in the Superman outfit, and the Superman outfit would have been like weirdly multi-lit, like LED stuff on it and stuff. It would have been crazy.
insanity.
And just seeing the photos of it, you're like, wow,
I
that would
think
be nuts. Because it has like Nick Cage with long hair, like to his shoulders,
What?
with like the widow's peak. It's like, it's great.
I think I've heard Kevin Smith talk about this and just be like, no.
Yeah, I think Kevin Smith was involved in some version of that movie. I think probably before it got to Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite stories that Kevin Smith tells. And I don't really have a high opinion of Kevin Smith anymore, but
Yeah.
that is great storytelling. He talks about talking with this producer for the Superman movie, and this producer just being the ultimate version of
Hollywood.
out of touch Hollywood, and just having a pet like idea that he's forcing into the movie, which was in this case Superman. He's going to fight the ultimate personification of evil, which is a giant spider.
What?
It's got to be in the movie. No, you don't understand, Kevin. You got to put the giant spider in.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
And so he like tries to get Kevin Smith to, bend to this will of putting in a giant spider as the main villain of the movie. And then the whole thing falls apart. Kevin Smith never, like, his involvement is gone. I think it goes to Tim Burton, and then that falls apart and all this stuff.
Shocking.
And then the follow-up to it that he says when he's given that story is that later that producer went on to produce Wild Wild West.
Oh, giant spider. He got
has
his
a
giant
giant
spider.
spider.
Hooray.
At the ending. So,
Wow, wow, West.
yeah,
Oh, can you imagine that Superman movie?
I would pay to see it. Definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Anyways, back to Mandy.
So, a question for you. Have you seen very many revenge movies? Like revenge-driven movies?
I mean, yeah.
What are some standouts?
Kill Bill.
Oh,
Kill Bill's the ultimate for me.
Yeah, Kill Bill's pretty good. Like, my mind immediately went to I Spit on Your Grave. But that's so disturbing. Let's see here. What other revenge?
Like revenge horror? That's
yeah,
probably
revenge horror is probably is hard to. I can't think of any. Can anyone in the audience think of some good revenge movies? Because this got me feeling the need for revenge. Mm-hmm. This was great.
Yeah. Well, Blue Ruin is supposed to be good. I still haven't watched it.
It is good. I don't. It's not nearly as memorable as this. Although it is also similarly, it's a mood piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Revenge movies are great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, final recommendations. Who do you think would enjoy this movie?
If you are, in the mood for an art movie that is actually still entertaining,
Yeah.
like if you want to see something that's a little more avant-garde in how it's shot and the visuals and all that, but you still want to be able to follow the storyline.
Yeah.
And you can kind of appreciate what's actually going on in front of you, then yeah, go see it. If you're a horror movie fan, just definitely go see it. It's a standout for the year.
You know what this kind of brings to the front of my mind is Seven.
Yeah.
The weirdness of...
Well, yeah, and the knife dick. I mean, that's
right.
definitely...
The knife dick, obviously, but like all of the freaky Seven Deadly Sins...
Yeah.
Like, now, Seven was a realistic interpretation, like bringing all that perversity into the real world. Mm-hmm. And this was like, this world was...
Still like allegory.
Yeah, this world is like not real, exactly.
Right.
So, but all those perverse things, like, are in this movie in kind of the same way, in like presented in like this shocking fashion. So that's kind of anybody who had a, likes Seven because of the imagery or the kind of the weird, strange, like the magnifying lens on perversity, the perverse of people.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a weird Venn diagram of like themes and stuff, because it's got something for everyone. It's got the gore.
Yeah.
It's got just perverse, leather gimp, evil people. It's got the cult. It's got
Nick Cage.
Nick Cage being Nick Cage.
It's got it has a montage of Nick Cage making a chromed out battle axe.
Yeah.
It's got a montage of
Right.
him building a battle axe to go to war with.
Yeah, it's
on
like
a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's taking fantasy elements and just 80s kind of weird Dungeons and Dragons feel, and it puts it in
Black Sabbath t-shirts.
Yeah, not even a modern setting. It's like in a semi-contemporary presentation of it, because it's not fantasy.
Yeah, it's a very interesting movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to see an interesting movie, see it. And it's easy because it's streaming right now on anything that you can pay for. It'll I assume it'll... No, actually, it's going to come to Shudder if you subscribe to Shudder.
Which
it's coming this month.
There's a low bar to subscribe to Shudder. If you're a horror movie fan, you should probably just do it. I haven't yet, and I should, because it's like $3 a month.
Yeah.
And just tons of horror on there. All free to stream once just Netflix model, but just straight a lot of horror.
Yeah, we're holding on getting a sponsorship from Shudder, so we don't want to just like waste that money on.
Hey, throw us $3. They're like, no.
I went on Shudder's site and I found a broken link, and then I messaged Shudder support on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey,
want to toss the dog a bone over here?"
I mean, as long as we're doing each other favors, host a horror movie podcast, and
they're like, "Yeah, but
we'd give you a plug."
Yeah, but you're giving it away for free.
Yeah,
yeah.
Hey, man, I know what cost per click can be.
Yeah, very expensive.
I mean, yeah, if we got one listener on Shudder, that'd be worth $4 for him a month, right?
Yeah, you listening to me, Shudder? You listening to me right now? Fucking, we love you.
So subscribe to Shudder, but maybe wait till we get sponsored and then subscribe.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, dangling that carrot.
Yeah. You might be waiting a while.
Yeah. So let's see here. So now we're going to move on to games, and the game we're going to be doing is Guess That Clip. But first, we have a public service announcement.
This is a public service announcement. Repeat, this is a public service announcement. This is not a test.
This is a public service announcement. The state of Washington has declared that adults with braces are not to be trusted. All adult Washington state residents with braces are expected to report to the closest police station for registration. If you notice or know an adult with braces who is without their safety vest, please remain calm and dial 912 immediately. A SWAT team will be dispatched to your location and will take care of the offender immediately. Again, this is a public service announcement for the state of Washington, declaring all adults with braces as being untrustworthy and potentially dangerous.
This has been a public service announcement. This has not been a test.
Okay, so this is Guess That Clip, which is a game where I have partitioned out sections of horror movies, just audio clips, for Bryce to listen to and guess two things. There's 2 points to be had on any clip, which is guess the movie and then guess the part of the movie that the clip is from. So you get 1 point for each. So you guys play along at home. Let us know how you do.
How many are we doing?
We're doing 5.
Okay.
So here is the first clip.
Hello? Hello?
So all you get is that fucking terrifying music and a girl saying hello and then others responding hello.
Oh, those were other. That wasn't her.
No, that was her questioning hello and then others responding with hello.
I mean, it sounds like the soundtrack to a slasher. I just don't. I feel like it should be iconic, and I should know.
It's meant to sound that way. This is a big hint. It's meant to sound iconic. It's maybe not necessarily. It's one of my favorite horror movies. I've given you an awful lot to go off of.
Is it one of the Screams?
No.
All right, I fail.
This is It Follows.
Oh.
This is the grandma scene in It Follows. Like, to me, the most disturbing scene where this grandma in a nightgown is just walking at her down this school corridor, and there's some girls in between our protagonist and this grandma who's walking at her. And she says she sees the grandma. No one else in It Follows. No one can see the bad guy except for whoever is infected with it.
Okay.
And so she sees this grandma walking at her, and she says hello. And the girls behind the grandma look at her all funny, and they're like, "Yeah, what? Hello?"
Okay. Ugh. Wow. Yeah, I've seen that one, and I didn't remember it.
Yeah, that movie's great because it intentionally, like, it's drawing from that, like, that 80s feel of horror. Does a real good job of it, I think.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah. I forgot that no one else could see it.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts about it.
Because I remember it was the group of friends were, like, helping each other. I assumed they all knew what it was, but I guess not.
Okay, this is clip number 2.
Wanna talk a little bit about what's going on in this room, because I think there are some fascinating ramifications here for the future. When you introduce genetic material of research quality to a life form such as ours, which is possessed of a sort of, I hesitate to use the word atavism, but let us say a highly aggressive nature. For example, that fellow over near the, I believe that's a common bat of the order Chiroptera, the only mammals, I might add, capable of true flight.
Okay. I'm relatively sure I know this one. This is Gremlins 2.
Ah, he got it.
And it's actually one of the gremlins that's super intelligent.
Yeah,
like
this
a
is
gremlin scientist.
Very good. 2
Yeah.
points. Full score. Yeah, this is Gremlins 2, the part where he drinks the brain hormone.
Right.
We've been talking about Gremlins 2 a little bit recently.
Yeah, there's a great Key and Peele sketch of the writer's room for Gremlins 2, and they bring in the Hollywood punch-up guy for the movie, and he gets everyone to say the most off-the-wall suggestions, and he's like, it's going in the movie. Because the stuff that they put in that movie is so bonkers. You're like, all right, it's not even close to being serious.
Yeah, that's a crazy movie. What a way to kick off the 90s. Like, that's why the 90s happened the way they did.
Right. Coke.
Yeah. Probably at that point, meth.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Clip number 3. Here we go.
Leave him! I see him! Leave him! Let go! Dawn! Help us!
What is that? I know that music.
Yeah, I can continue with the music a little bit more if you want, but it'll only help you so much.
Oh man.
Here we go. Let's move to this port here.
God, what is that? It's a zombie movie.
Yes, not exactly zombies. Oh man, I couldn't help you out any more than this.
Oh man, not exactly zombies.
More like a real zombie virus. Like what?
So that was whatever days later. Is that right?
Oh, you're thinking this is
28 days later. What's it called?
You're in the right franchise, but you're not on the right. You're not on the right movie.
Yeah,
this is
3 months later or whatever.
3 months later. You want to take a stab at the scene?
I have no clue what the scene. I've seen both of them, but I can't remember.
Okay, that's fair. So this is 28 weeks later.
28 weeks later,
and this is the kind of getting pretty close to the end of the movie where he leaves his wife is a chimera, right? She has 2 different colored eyes, and he leaves his wife. I think that's called a chimera.
Sure.
He leaves his wife and his son or her son, to die in a house, and he runs away from it. Yeah. And it's got that iconic music. I love those 2 movies. I'm just holding out hope that there's going to be a third.
Yeah.
28 months later.
So I get a half a point on that one. That was half a point.
What is it? 3 days later?
It's the days later, whatever. It's something later.
But you didn't guess you said days. It wouldn't have been the right one anyway.
Whatever.
See,
it's the right franchise.
This is why you think I cheat on all the games. Is why you're like, I don't know, I'll have to go back and check it, because you want to cheat so bad. You're like, I'll get a half point for that.
Come on, that's half a point.
How is that?
That's close.
3 days. Yeah, it's close, but it's not.
I don't remember the title of the. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but you didn't even say weeks. You said days.
I identified the franchise. That's worth half a point. New rule.
Wow. Okay, let's. All right, here is clip number 4. I love this clip.
What the hell?
I love it.
Oh man, I don't know, but like the shot and the. I mean, it sounds like there's like helicopters or little machines that are flying around. I'm trying to think, or insects. I know this isn't it, but this is the closest I can think of would be Mars Attacks.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, this is the very end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh,
where he's chasing her with a chainsaw and a dude with a truck drives up. I love the classical music with it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Or
I started and I haven't finished it.
And it sounds like she's screaming for her life at the end, but really she's in the back of the bed of this truck, and they're driving away from Leatherface, and she's laughing. She's just covered in blood from head to toe, and she's laughing because she's getting away from him. And as this like super Clockwork Orange sort of scene like plays out of like this dude just dancing in the street, like he just cut his own leg with the chainsaw and stuff. It's crazy.
All right, last clip.
All right, and here is the final clip, clip number 5.
You shamed me.
This, you don't get a lot to go off of on this one, and I can do it again if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it.
You shamed me.
Yeah, I don't recognize it. Sounds like a evil gypsy or a witch.
Oh, you are dead on the first part of that. And where she says, "You shamed me."
Yeah. Evil gypsies are very prideful, so that's where
That's your takeaway.
you don't want to shame evil gypsies. I'm not racist against gypsies. My cat is named Gypsy, so.
Ooh. Ew.
Oh wait, that probably does make me. I don't know. Sorry, an evil Roma.
Okay, yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Oh man, evil gypsy movie. The only one I can really think of is Thinner.
I'm gonna throw you a bone here right now.
And I think I'm trying to remember if Drag Me to Hell had a gypsy in it, because it felt very Drag Me to Hell-ish. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've seen it. Whatever it is,
I'll give it to you because you guessed the movie. It is Drag Me to Hell.
Was it?
Yeah. It's the car scene where she gets into her car in a parking garage and she's all like tripped out because there's that handkerchief that's blowing in the wind. And you know, in a car garage, there's no wind in a car garage really, like under the ground. And then the gypsy's in the back seat and she like leans forward and she's like, "You shamed me." Like, oh man, Drag Me to Hell was such a great
That
movie.
was a great movie. Okay. So yeah, I get at least half a point on that one because
No, you get a full point on that one.
Yeah, that was a great movie. Peter Jackson, right?
No, I thought it was Sam Raimi.
Oh, Sam Raimi.
Maybe it's No,
That's right. Sam Raimi.
yeah. It's Sam Raimi. Maybe is it both?
Sam Raimi. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sam Raimi did that, and so last night I was recording all these like at midnight because I couldn't sleep, and this was the only one that I left for this morning because that movie upsets me. Like in a lot of every clip that I looked at, I was like, I don't want to watch that right now. I don't want to watch that right before I go to bed. I don't want to listen to that. Like, Drag Me to Hell worked on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, that's That's probably the best PG-13 horror movie.
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
in terms of like actual horror.
In terms of scares, yeah, for sure.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked at how much I liked that.
Yeah, it had everything I wanted. If you could do more of those, Sam, please.
Yeah. I think was there a sequel?
No. I don't believe so.
There's an autocomplete for Drag Me to Hell 2. No.
Oh, there's a trailer for Drag Me to Hell 2. What's that?
This is like fan made. That's bullshit.
Man, that'll get you views.
Yeah.
That'll get you views. Take fan favorite movies.
Taking money out of the pocket of Sam Raimi.
Take fan favorite movies. Claim there's a second one. Claim there's a trailer for a second one, and then just make a bullshit. Nothing. Oh, look how many downvotes compared to upvotes on that video for Drag Me to Hell 2.
Yeah.
So let us know how you did compared to Bryce's rather paltry score of 3. That is a hard game because unless you've seen the movie, like and it's hard to know what Bryce has seen because I'm not Bryce. Anyway, that's our episode for today. You guys should definitely go check out Mandy.
Again, Mandy is only available on Shudder and Amazon currently, so check it out there. Back to the show.
Thanks to everybody who's been listening and giving us feedback. We appreciate it a lot. Share this episode with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't. Subscriptions really do make a difference for us. And give us feedback. Anything you want to hear that we're not doing, let us know. And, we'll be happy to take that and try and make something work with it. So thank you very much, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
This was Horror Movie Talk.
Bye.
Bye.